moving toward a very interesting, bit different panel session, which we call open mic and presentations. I think this section is slightly different, and it's going to be very interesting to hear very interesting ideas from experienced professor to innovative rising stars. It's a great opportunity to think about what other people in cybersecurity field doing, what do they research, what they're working about. Maybe once you hear their presentation, you come up with any new innovative ideas to work with in the future. So first of all, I would like to inform you about the format of this open mic. Each presenter has 10 minutes, no more, no less. And if you guys have any questions, we don't really have time for QA sessions, so what I would advise you, encourage you, once we move to reception, you can find the speaker or the presenter, and you can ask the question that came up during the presentation itself. Okay, so we are going to dive into our session, and our first presenter is Professor Maria Struta. And this topic is going to be very interesting specifically for those who like soccer. So could you please open the first speaker slide, please? And I think you have a presenter, so feel free to move around however you like. So here's your mic.
Okay, thank you, Inga. I need to go to the beginning. We are somewhere in the middle here. So give me a second. Oh, so go the other way. Okay. Okay, so my research is analyzing Premier League popularity through Twitter data. And this is a work in collaboration with my colleagues, Elene from the School of Computer Analytics, Giorgi from the College of Business, and David Tyler from the University of Massachusetts Amherst College of Business. This will be the agenda. I will skip it very fast. And now let me tell you a little bit about this research. Now, some of you are very familiar with Premier League football. I call it football here because that's more a common term. How many of you enjoy watching Premier League football or football in general? Many people. Yes. Yes, and I guess, and you have someone that just won the Champions League, right? I don't dare to pronounce his name because it's difficult. Chava, what's his name? You know what I'm talking. Yeah, Kvaratskhelia, but the name is difficult to pronounce by me. So anyway, he's a very good player at PSG, as you well know. Now, why did I choose Premier League for this data? Well, Premier League is one of the most popular football leagues in the world. So there is a lot of talk online about Premier League. And then the second reason why I choose Premier League, I like football myself. So, you know, you embed pleasure with work. That why it can be more fun than that. And then third, why do I use Twitter? Because on Twitter, at that time called Twitter, now X, they offer an opportunity to collect all the tweets or most of the tweets on a specific area via API, a Twitter streaming API for free pretty much. And this is what we did, not just for football, for other areas as well. COVID vaccines, US elections and so forth. So we collected a lot of data, universities from the United States. One of the data we collected was Premier League data. Now, we collected, as written here, millions of tweets between August, October 2022. And what we did later on, we tried to evaluate team popularity as well as sentiment analysis of tweets. Now, for those of you who are familiar with football, you may know this, but just as an idea for everybody else, English Football League is very, very popular in the world, was founded a long time ago, is divided into multiple leagues. It's a relegation system, so teams move up and down. But the most important one is the top league, which is the English Premier League, which was created in 1992 by the top 22 teams. Currently, there are just 20 teams in the league, and I was focusing only on the teams from that league for the season 22-23. So some of the teams you may see here now may not be in that league because they were relegated. Now, this is just some information about how popular those leagues are. You can see how much is the total market value of the players for that league, and then the popularity across the web for all those leagues. Those are all football leagues, Premier League being by far the most popular, La Liga from Spain, Serie A from Italy, Bundesliga, and League One. And I will move a little bit over those slides because I don't want to repeat the same things. Now let's focus on Twitter data collection. As I mentioned to you, we collected data from August to October 2022, and we collected data based on specific keywords, and I believe those are on the slides. After we collected this data, which is many gigabytes of data, we sorted all those tweets, we removed all the duplicate tweets, we identified subgroups of tweets based on specific games and based on specific team, and then we look at the volume of the tweets. So we wanted to see how many tweets are specific to a team, how many tweets are specific to an individual game that the team played, and so forth. And then besides counting the number of tweets for the specific subgroups, we created various measures of popularity, as you will see later on. Now, we had a lot of challenges in data collection, and this is actually, it was surprisingly difficult. First of all, when we look at the individual team codes, the Premier League had made some changes more recent, and I was identifying some teams incorrectly. 3 of the 20 teams that we look at, actually they had a change in the code, and they didn't use the code that I was looking for. So those teams, I had to exclude them from the future analysis. So that's why in the future you will see that I was focusing on just 17 teams, not all the 20 teams from the league. Once I collected the data, I realized the mistake only later on, and we couldn't redo it because this was live collection. So matches involving those 3 teams, Southampton, Brighton and Hove Albion, and Nottingham Forest were excluded. Then we collected data for 3 months, and we focused on specific rounds, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 10 of this season. We look specifically at the tweets around those games. Why those rounds specifically, not the other? As some of you know, there is a pattern how games are played in Premier League. However, because of various other events, various other games and so forth, they do not follow all the time the same pattern. So for instance, one particular round may be split, one game may be postponed. They may play at a different time than Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and occasionally Monday. So that's why we excluded other rounds. And then we also had the problem with the round, I believe, 6 and 7, because at some point the data collection was stopped for a little bit. So we moved to 6 and 7. But round 1 was excluded because of the schedule was very different. We look at tweets within a 4-hour window. A game, as you know, has 2 hours, so we look at 1 hour before the game starts and 1 hour after the game starts. Now, this is the number of tweets that we collected for a specific game. And if you are thinking, how did we identify a specific game? Actually, Premier League has a very nice system in which every game has a specific Twitter handle, and we look at that particular Twitter handle. So if we look here at Chelsea to, let's say, Liverpool to Crystal Palace, the handle will be Pine, L-I-V, and then C-R-Y. So the combination of 3 letters that identify the first team and 3 letters that identify the second team. Manchester United is the same, M-A-U, and Brentford is B-R-E, I believe. And the combination of them creates that handle. So this is how we identify the tweets that belong to the specific game. Now, for the 4-hour window, this is how many tweets we were able to count on that particular round. We also computed using a Vader method of computing the sentiment analysis. I won't go through that because I don't have a lot of time, I believe. We computed the average sentiment for all those tweets. As expected, you can see here that Manchester United drew a lot of teams because this is by far the most popular team in Premier League, but also Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur, because at that time both of those teams were qualified in the Champions League, so they were very popular, and they, of course, this was the derby on that particular round. Now, let me move a little bit over that one. We computed several popularity rankings. One of them is basic popularity ranking. So across all the stages, all the rounds, we look at the teams and we just counted how many tweets are for each team on average for all the rounds. Manchester United was by far the most popular up to the last one on this list, which is Fulham. Now, the problem with this is we did not look into account to whom this particular team played. And that created a little bit of inconsistency in the data we computed. So we created another measure in which we weighted the number of tweets based on the popularity of the teams every team played. Without going into the details, this is a published paper, so you can read those details. By using this weighting, we addressed the artificial inflation in basic popularity rating, and then we were able to come up with this order of the teams, which still leaves Manchester United by far the most popular team. Arsenal is the second, Chelsea, Liverpool, and so forth. So this was our popularity ranking for all those rounds. We also looked to see whether there is a correlation between our measure of popularity ranking and the number of tweets that every team has as followers on this date, June 24, 2022, which is just before the start of the season. And as you can see, there is a very good correlation. Manchester United first, Liverpool second, and so forth. So if we are looking at the comparison between the rankings, Manchester United is actually first for basic popularity ranking, general popularity ranking, and the ranking of the number of tweets. Arsenal is 2 to 4, Chelsea is 3 for 3, as you can see, all of them. And actually the first 4 are kind of just changing the position, but Manchester United, as you would all expect, is by far the first. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool, they are fighting between 2 and 4. Manchester City, because as you know, it's a bit still newer, doesn't have the base of people that are with the team for many, many years, is next, number 5, and Tottenham Hotspur and Everton continue, and then all others are under it. We did a similar analysis for sentiment analysis. I don't know how much time do I still have, about 2 minutes, okay. So, and this shows if the tweets are positive or negative for that particular team, but I will skip that part. I want to focus for the last 1 minute about match popularity analysis. We wanted to see which particular game is more popular than others. For this, we computed the number, the total count for each particular team, because every team has a popularity by itself. We wanted to see whether a game is more popular than it should be for that particular team. And we computed the coefficient of team average versus over average, and that showed us that Manchester United expectation is 6.14 higher than for an average team here in terms of the number of tweets. So we had to do this as a weight measure. Now, at the end, we came up with the best 10 performing matches across all the matches that we look at, the 50 matches that we look at. And Chelsea versus Tottenham Hotspur actually had the best popularity, so they performed best in terms of the result. And then you can see here that Manchester United versus Arsenal is actually only third, although in terms of the number of tweets, they had the largest number of tweets, more than 600,000. However, because Manchester United as well as Arsenal are so popular, this is actually expected. So looking at this, we can identify the games that actually created more interest than expected. And if you look at the scores, 2-2, 3-3, it kind of shows that those were very tight games. So games in which, you know, the result goes back and forth definitely involve more users, and they will tweet more about those games. Manchester United Arsenal is not a big surprise because this was one of the biggest derby during that time, and then we continue forward as well. Newcastle Brentford, maybe because of the score, but as you can see, even with 21,000 tweets, they are still performing way better than originally expected. We also have worst performing matches using the same measure, and then we also look at the team rivalry impact on match popularity a little bit, but I will not talk more about that because I believe I'm out of time. So this will be the summary of findings. Overall, we were able to look at popularity of teams, we were able to look at popularity of matches, and we also look at sentiment analysis for the tweets collected for the Premier League data. So thank you all, and I believe I'm just out of time. Thank you.
Guys, you can always ask Marius more questions if you have one at the reception, just a reminder. So we're moving to our next presenter. And they're Miss Elene Tabidze and Miss Giorgi Gogitidze. Just a couple of comments. They're senior software engineers at TNET, and they're also invited professors at SANGU who are teaching on cybersecurity master's program. Welcome, guys, and I know you're going to present your innovative products, and I wish you best of luck. Actually, introduce your innovative product that you've been working for a couple of months.
Hello, everyone. Today we are here to introduce you one of our latest initiatives, which was in the previous slide, please. Yeah, this one. Which was inspired by well-known concept of browser fingerprinting. We took this established technique and through our collaboration developed a modified enhanced version designed to meet the challenges of today's digital landscape. In this presentation, we will explore the modern browser fingerprinting can be reimagined as a powerful tool for cybersecurity and analytics, going beyond traditional tracking methods. We will show you how our solution works under the hood, how data is being transmitted, how we meet the legal and ethical regulations, all with focus of creating technology that is both effective and responsible. Next slide, please. In today's digital world, tracking users' behavior is essential for both cybersecurity and business purposes. Over the years, many different tracking methods have been used to monitor systems, track user behaviors, block bots, and etc. The first is cookie-based authentications. Browsers have been using cookies to monitor systems and track user behaviors, but cookies can be easily blocked or deleted by the users, so cookies are no longer reliable for long-term tracking. Second is IP and user agent loggings. Still, again, we use the IP addresses as identifiers to monitor our systems and detect frauds. But cookies, IP addresses can be easily spoofed with VPN, proxy, or even browser settings. And third, third-party analytics. Tools like Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel collect user behaviors via JavaScript scripts. But again, these scripts can be blocked or blocked by browsers, ad blockers, or privacy tools. In short, these old methods are no longer enough. Next slide, please. To overcome these limitations, browser fingerprint has been developed. It works by collecting small unique signals from users' device and browsers, such as screen size, GPU behavior, font rendering, even small voice signals from the processors. By combining these signals, it creates a unique identifier without using the cookies or local storage. Fingerprinting has become a key tool in cybersecurity and analytics, helping to detect frauds, block bots, and protect sensitive systems. But even this technique is now facing new challenges. Browsers and privacy tools are getting smarter. Some signals can be randomized, some scripts can be blocked. So that's why we decided to develop a new approach to create the unique signals which can be not randomized and not able to be blocked. And this is auto fingerprint class. We developed our advanced fingerprinting class designed to work even in modern privacy-aware environments. Unlike many traditional tools, our solution relies natively on browser APIs and focuses on collecting signals that are unable to and hard to monitor or randomize. We don't use cookies or we don't use local storages. This is how it works under the hood. First, we collect device and browser data using built-in APIs, user agent, device memory, touch point, screen resolution, pixel ratio, and color depth. Second, we generate canvas and WebGL fingerprint by rendering specific shapes and text in the browser using canvas rendering context and WebGL rendering context. And third, we perform audio fingerprinting using the web audio API, generating sounds with oscillator and analyzing the frequency responses with analyzer node, a signal which is really difficult to fake or block. By combining these non-randomizable signals, we generate highly accurate and persistent fingerprint unique to each of the device without relying on external scripts or third-party libraries. Next slide, please.
So from here I will continue. That was the first problem which we have, so persistent hash, which will track the user. And second problem was information exchange, because nowadays, as Elena mentioned, every extension or some kind of firewalls are blocking every traffic which can user want to prevent from their system. So from here appear question how we can transmit information which will be stealth and not visible by user, even if they are using tools such as Wireshark or that kind of tools. So next slide. Based on research, we found that one of the fine feature for browsers are WebRTC, which are used for P2P connections and IC servers. Based on it, we made some. We can say it can be some 0 days, because we are just triggering DNS and it just resolving this DNS. And based on this DNS, we are getting the hash of user and also IP address based on it. So when users are opening any sites, it doesn't depend, it's using tools such as Barb Suite or another browsers, DuckDuckGo or that kind of things. It's every time generating same hash, and by resolving DNS, it's just appearing milliseconds in our side on DNS filtering server. So based on this, also we consider it about legal and ethical situations. We can move to another slide. Based GDPR and other considerations, there are two factors which requires user consent, and second is legally acceptable without notice to user. So as Elene mentioned, we have cookies and IP address, which is required for consent, and every website nowadays have, are you agree with these cookies? Secondly, if they are legally acceptable without notice to user. So based our collected data, none of them except cookies and IP does not require user consent and also legally acceptable without notice it. So we can take any user's hash without telling him we are collecting this data. And based this, when we receiving this hash, we are exfiltrating them in our database. And for example, imagine a situation where users are opening a VPN and joining on website. Their hash mark is tracked. After, for example, 2 months, they are joining same browser but without VPN on the same another website, which is our track tool. So our track tool are detecting that someone was with different IP address on another sites, and this hash was considered as warning if appear on other websites, and this will trigger our alarm system. And based on it, we can trigger who was attacker of the situation, because nowadays attackers also stealing Wi-Fi passwords, and they are doing with others home labs or public IP addresses, and we can detect IP address, but we can't detect who exactly was it. Based on this, we can detect device, which means we are more closer to attacker than ever be. So that's it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for presenting your new product, and I wish you best of luck in working and developing it further. So our next presenter is Professor Rasib. I want to introduce this person to you guys. He is the one who was actually very actively working in creating the Cybersecurity Master's Program, and he is the one who's always coming to Georgia to provide face-to-face workshops to our dear students. We just completed the workshops actually a couple days ago, and thank you so much for that. I am going, yeah, applauses. So floor is yours. You can go ahead and present your research.
All right. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate the patience that you have shown sticking around till the end of the day. So I'm Dr. Rasib Khan from Northern Kentucky University. It's my third time here in Georgia, and I'm loving every time I'm here. And together I've put over a month time in Georgia so far. I'm loving every bit of it. So this research in particular, so I'm the PI myself. I have done this work along with my research assistants, two additional students, Prashika Baznet and Isha Nepal. It was recently published at the World AI IoT Congress in Seattle. And here I'm going to give you a short glimpse of interest into the work that we have completed. This is focused primarily on how we can adapt user awareness training models as well as user control in organizational security with the help of machine learning and AI. So I did a quick Google search just yesterday, typing in just the initial few words, organizational security is as strong as. And the first AI overview that comes up, it shows you that the weakest link is definitely the, do we have a pointer? Okay. It is the, okay, I don't see it. Anyway, it's the human users, right? And that's kind of obvious in today's world that we see, and it doesn't really matter how strong your protection system is, it is always coming down to how vulnerable or how aware the users are. So the overall motivation that we can say behind the lack of work that we have is that there's a generalized lack of personalization for these awareness modules. It's mostly static. Even if you do repetition, it's based on static training structure. And going forward, it's usually not that engaging enough. I guess most of you have participated in some kind of organizational training. It's check marks of very boring questions over and over again. Myself, when I do it, I keep the video playing on the side. I just don't care, and then I just answer the questions, right? Not engaging enough. Doesn't really contribute to my awareness in general. And finally, it doesn't really address the, the constantly evolving, landscape of cyber threats. So, what do? So, the problem statement that we try to address here is we first need to create a security control method or mechanism to address the human factor in a much more structured and formalized method. And we have to make sure that we are developing these training models to adapt to individual behavioral patterns, right? And somehow be able to transfer it into making managerial enforcement of decisions for the security controls much more adaptive and pluggable. And most importantly, be able to assess and measure the learning that have been placed with this structure. So, the concept overview, the model base that we put up for this work looks somewhat like this. So this is a very high-level overarching bird's eye view, right? So for the data sources, we are looking at a multimodal structure for inputting the data into the system. And we have, you can say, data that is being fed into the system as static data by HR. There could be general user behavioral metrics which are captured with your phone, the way that you are using your laptops, logging in, like basically system logs. Then you have standards and policies, documentations which are unstructured data, right? So a combination of this multimodal data, we pass it on into the modeling phase. So that's phase 2. Here, we are combining together machine learning and AI together in multi-phases. First, trying to build some, built into some kind of data processing so that it gives meaning to the structured and unstructured data, and also integrate some form of alerts and updates into the system. Eventually, we go into the set of deliverables, which means that this is the actionable items that we have out of this framework, which we have partitioned into 3 categories. Basically, security controls, which are more automated, policy updates, and management insights, right? So these are the dashboard of updates and deliverables that you have. So a little deeper look into the structure. I will not be going into the teeny-weeny details of it, but just to give you an idea. So in the input phase, we are looking at basically 3 kinds of inputs. Physical, which could be access logs, device usage, etc. Perceptive, which are more behavioral data that you have captured as part of the system, and digital information, which are system logs. The key process features that we have in phase 2 are real-time behavioral analysis as well as adaptive learning through optimization. And finally, in the output levels, this is where it gets interesting. We divide it into 3 levels. User gets a personalized training model, which is curated based on how dumb or smart you are. And next would be the managerial reports and risk analysis of your organization's landscape. And finally, the automated part of the output, which are policy adjustments or access control adjustments that you get out of this system. In addition to it, we have 2 learning loops, the feedback and feed forward. So the feedback is where you are acting on whatever actions that you have made based on the outputs, and it feeds into the process layer so that you update them, and based on that, you relearn what the users are doing or how the users are reacting to it. And a feed forward is basically preemptive. The most common example would be like policies, which are already in place, so you feed it forward so that you can cross-match and analyze it further. So this is a prototype implementation at this point, and what we are trying to do is basically try to figure out the different kind of data sources that we could put together and the different models that we can place for understanding the performance of the different models at this point. So that's the current ongoing status of the project. But just to give you an understanding of what we are looking at in terms of analyzing the performance of the system, first of all, from the perspective of user centricity, we are trying to create something which is customized, which is personalized, so that means this should be different based on how the user is acting. And there should be some way that we're able to assess long-term versus short-term retention of whatever training that we are providing. Second is the operational management controls. Here we are trying to see how managers are reacting to the outputs, what kind of decisions or policy updates they're making, and eventually how well they're able to track the compliance to different policies or behavior in their or within their organization. And finally, the technical integration definitely is one of the challenges and things that we are trying to address right now, which mainly is focusing on the multimodality of the user inputs and how we are going to update the automated part of the adjustments. So in conclusion, the proposed work kind of puts together the perspective of organizational security posture overall and takes into account the personalized aspect of user security awareness. And the research questions that we are trying to answer as of now are, first of all, how we can integrate the socio-cultural and psychological sensitivity into the system. And let me give you an example. Depending on where you are, you may have different security implications given that you are part of the same organization. It may also depend based on if you're thinking of this as a organization agnostic model, it should be able to be plugged into different organizations. Different organizations deal with different kinds of data. Healthcare may have different applications. Finance will have different applications, right? So those kind of things, how do we bring into those sensitivity? The data security privacy concerns, this is a general, always very important question, how you balance usability, security. And Cross-organizational adaptivity. We have a very common culture right now with contracted jobs where you are not exactly a part of an organization, but then you have a certain limit of access to it. So how do you actually delegate that concept into the security awareness model? And finally, how you can expand it to include broader concept of threat models. So that is where I wrap it up. If you feel more interested, please feel free to look up the paper to read it further and shoot me an email if you got any further questions.
Thank you very much, Rasib. Thank you for this amazing presentation, and I hope to see more and more research on that topic. So our next presenter is a Nato Jiadze. She is a cybersecurity expert of Ministry of Defense of Georgia, and she is going to bring us into another aspect of cybersecurity. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Inga, for presenting me. Good afternoon. I know everyone is very tired, so I will focus very shortly my brief presentation. I am independent expert in cybersecurity. I teach students, master students, Caucasus University, and my topic is modern cyber warfare. And also I am author of curriculum, cyber diplomacy and cyber ethics. And I am also former military, so cyber warfare somehow is related to my field. I'd like to thank experts from US for sharing your expertise, and because on the era of modern technology, era of advanced artificial intelligence, and very soon, I think, and quantum computing, experience sharing is crucial to oppose emerging threats. I am going to focus cyber weapons. Everyone is aware about this. When I started at the beginning, by the way, I'm self-learner, how to say, because I have doctoral degree in international relations, but my defended my doctoral thesis regarding about Georgian cybersecurity and international challenges. And by the time we did not have any courses or degrees like we have here regarding cybersecurity. So I took short courses in Geneva Center, and online courses, and I took also, I attended conferences, Center of Excellence, Tallinn, and recently I attended Cyber Warfare Conference in US, Virginia. So I have this experience, but because of, thanks to modern technology, we have chance to take courses through internet and share experience. So again, thanks you, thanks the university, this opportunity to open this master degree program here in Georgia. So the topic I am focusing is dual use of cyber weapons. When I started, we have three types of nation-state attackers: advanced persistent threats and customers who sell cyber weapons, and cyber militias. I focus very fast each of them. Advanced persistent threats, you know, they are so very sophisticated cyber weapons. These weapons hold the US, United Kingdom, Russia, China, Israel, North Korea, Iran, and India, and Argentina. And also we have cases here of cyber attacks and cyber operations where nation states use these cyber weapons. Here we can add other cases like SolarWinds or colonial pipelines. And I will also focus in cyber attacks against Georgia in 2008. I'd like to point out, by the time internet coverage in Georgia was about 30%, and now awareness regarding cyber security is very high. As you are aware, Russian launched attack months earlier before they crossed the Georgian border. I also point out some conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We know it started 2022. At the beginning, all experts were waiting cyber Armageddon against Ukraine from Russia's side or Blitzkrieg. But I also very attentively looking for some article, what's going on, because I have information open source, based on the open source. But later somewhere, it started in February, and later somewhere in July or June, appeared first article about Microsoft said what's going on inside. And there is a question, is cyber operation more effective during, let's say, peacetime or during conflict? And if we see these cases, and in Russian case, they started to cyber attack against Ukraine months earlier before they physically crossed the border. And they used cyber vipers, and after that they switch in kinetic warfare. And my approach is that the issue was to coordinate cyber warfare and kinetic warfare, synchronize, but it is very difficult because of delay, internet delay. So far it's very difficult to coordinate in real time. The other issue is I want to focus also Israel-Hezbollah case. We know this pager case, pager explosion. Of course, Israel intelligence service, we are aware, they're preparing this case in advance years ago, but they activated these pagers when Hezbollah right time, how to say, in order to avoid huge damage. They killed only Hezbollah some very minor collateral damage and no chaos. Also, there is an ethical issue of pager because they use Taiwanese pager, and really they camouflage it was Hungarian. And here is also supply chain challenges, which is also other issue. Next is cyber militia. Those are countries, they buy cyber weapons and use for surveillance and espionage. I have here example of Syrian Electronic Army, China's cyber militias, and so I wanted to add that China, Russia, and other countries also hold cyber militias, and they use, in Russian case, for example, they are subordinated to intelligence department, FSB, and they always can deny because they behave under the threshold in gray zone. Next is countries, those produce cyber weapons. By the way, this information I have professor of Kennedy School, University, Ruth Schneier, and I was surprised when I heard first time that those countries produce cyber weapons and they sell it. And here we have a list of Italy, Germany, United Kingdom, Israel. It's very uncontrollable and spread around the world. And for example, in Israel case, they use to sell it these weapons to reach consensus and for negotiations. What is means dual use? It is for corporate customers and also by governments. They use for surveillance and control. Here we have samples. Here is a map of coverage of it. Pegasus. It is used, as far as I remember, about 26 countries. And also, I want to point out attribution. attribution is very difficult because, as I mentioned, they behave below threshold and in gray zone. Also, this is it relies on classified information. It takes time to conduct digital forensic. For example, I have a case in cyber attacks ransomware attacks against Sweden. It took months and weeks and months before they started an investigation and started to launch program again. That's shortly I can say that today's opportunity to share this experience and knowledge and expertise is crucial to pose the emerging threats that is posed by new technologies, advanced artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you for providing very interesting facts. It was very fascinating. Now I would like to share this mic with our Professor Kakhaber Revazishvili. He is Professor of Cybersecurity program. He is also a professor of our Computer Science program, and we love him all. So please go ahead, floor is yours.
Hello everyone. All you are looking at it right now, is not it? And tell me, who are not using internet right now? Tell me. You? It's not true. You are using. All we are using internet, and what is internet? It is more than 17,000 networks over the world and 5 billion users. And it is trap because we are using main protocol on the internet. It is BGP. And what is BGP? It is what we doing, where we going in internet. Our router find best path for destination. Best path between thousands of autonomous systems. I will not talk about BGP because it is not interesting for you. It is network solution. I will talk about problems with BGP next and next. Okay. There are two primary ways BGP can be exploited. First is hijacking and route leaks. In BGP hijack, malicious actors announce that it can route traffic to an IP block that it's not own. This trick the internet into sending traffic to the wrong place. The attacker does not need to trick into system. They just need mislead others. And in route leaks, misconfigured routers improperly share routing announcement, spreading them to unintended networks. This break contractual routing policies between internet service providers leads to network overloads, outage, or unexpected detour throughout insecure regions. I need Mehute. Next. Okay. Now, real world example show the consequences. In 2018, in Pakistan, internet service provider accidentally took down YouTube globally. 2013, US traffic was mysteriously routed throughout Belarus, potentially for surveillance. And cryptocurrency heist between 2014 and 2018 used BGP hijack to steal millions of bitcoins. There are no isolated incidents. They expose systemic fragility and need for active defense. Now about geopolitical weapon. In the modern era, BGP is increasingly seen as a tool of the geopolitical influence. Nation-states have realized they can weaponize routing protocols. Through BGP manipulation, adversaries can redirect encrypted traffic through their own infrastructure but for long-term storage and cryptographic attacks. Disrupt economic system by selectively targeting banks or supply chains. Isolate population during unrest, cutting off specific services while freeing full internet access. Profile interorganizational traffic for intelligence. Okay. Now, solution, what we can do. The good news is we have solutions, but they require a collective implementation. One, RPKI, Resource Public Key Infrastructure. This system allows IP address holders to digitally sign their routing announcements. Router can then validate the announcements and reject invalid one. Adoption is growing but uneven. Two, routing filtering at best practice. Network must adopt strict routing filters and maintain up-to-date prefix lists. These are essential defensive steps. And manners. The mutual agreed norms for routing security initiative provides a code of conduct for internet service providers. It's filter validation and coordination. 4, education. Future network engineers must be trained to prioritize routing security. Universities must include BGP threat modeling and monitoring in curricula. 5, monitoring tools. Platforms like BGP MOM, RIPERS, and TNET provide alerting when suspicious BGP activities occurs. We need a wide use and more integration. And in last, the global BGP security initiatives. We promise a multi-faceted initiative to promote security routing practice worldwide. First, BGP Security Observatory, a distributed global system that uses AI and data from academia, government, and industry to detect anomalies in real time. It will offer dashboards, forecasts, and alerts, like a cybersecurity weather maps. 2, regional incident response teams, just like CERT. These BGP-focused teams could coordinate fast responses access, internet service providers, and governments. 3, economic incentives, often insurance discount and procurement advantage for companies that meet security standards. 4, trusted routing certification, create a label for secure networks that companies, governments, and users can trust. And 5, BGP security sandbox, an isolated test bed where researchers and students can simulate real attacks and defense without affecting their live internet. Okay. Final call to action. Each of us a role to play, strengthening the Internet Foundation. Students, let your capstone be the BGP Security Observatory. Launch clubs focused on infrastructure security. Professors, develop partnership with internet service providers and integrate this into your courses. And industry professionals, champion health standards in your networks. Implement RPKI. Join MANRC. And thank you for all.
Heavy applauses. Thank you very much. As a non-IT guy, I can tell that I think I've learned a lot from your presentation, and I might have a lot of questions after on the reception. But now, with heavy applauses, I want to give the floor to Dr. Wei Hao, the program director of our Cybersecurity Master's Program. Thank you very much for preparing presentation for this conference, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wei Hao. I'm professor of cybersecurity at NKU. I am a program director for this Master in Cybersecurity program. This is my second time to teach summer cybersecurity workshop at SANGU. Today I'm going to, my presenting topic is Edge First Security defined before the cloud with Edge services. First, I will give you an overview of cloud-only security. This is a traditional cloud security model. I will discuss problems with this cloud-only security model. Then I will show you a new model that is edge-first security model. Finally, I will give you summary. So first, I want you to understand this cloud computing and edge computing, okay? So cloud right now is become part of our daily life, okay? And those public cloud provider deploy their cloud in data center. Data center is very expensive to build. So they have a limited number of data center around the world. Okay? For example, just take Amazon as example. Let's see, this is Amazon data center. This is in US, Virginia, US East. And let's see, our customer, one customer is in here, in Tbilisi. There is a long physical distance between Tbilisi to US, okay? So no matter how powerful of this data center, because of the physical distance, so customer or user in Tbilisi will experience long response latency, okay? So to solve this problem, people put edge computing. So basically, they deployed like edge servers around the world. Compared to data center, edge server is relatively cheaper. So you can deploy, many thousands of edge server around the world. For example, so far, I believe AWS only have fewer than 100 data center around the world. But they already deployed thousands of edge server around the world. So let's see, Tbilisi, maybe there's no data center here, but it's very easy to deploy edge server. So build an edge location here, okay? This is the history of edge server, edge computing, and cloud computing, okay? But nowadays, so initially, the purpose of edge computing is to improve performance of cloud computing. But nowadays, people transfer edge server, edge computing into a security enforcement layer. Okay, so this is the topic we are going to discuss. It's called a edge-first security model. Okay, so first let's look at what is cloud-only security. Okay, so in this model, security is enforced only at centralized cloud data center. So that means all the user requests, no matter it's a malicious request or legitimate request, will travel through the internet and then enter the cloud. And then cloud will do security, apply security check to determine whether this is a malicious traffic or legitimate traffic. So basically we'll go into a job like filter out malicious traffic. So this is how cloud-only security. So this is the example. Let's say a user in Asia send a request to the cloud. This is hosted in US East 1 region. And then this request will go through internet and then enter the cloud. Okay, US East 1 cloud. This is a core cloud infrastructure. And then going to do that security check. They use like a web application firewall and then detected this is a malicious request, should be dropped. Okay? But the problem with this approach is you can see the malicious request travel over the internet and then enter the cloud. So they cause several problems. For example, they are going to use this malicious request. They are going to consume network bandwidth, consume resources, right? And also, when it comes to the core cloud infrastructure, they already may already compromised the services, cause service disruption, system performance degradation. This is the problem, okay? This is the traditional cloud security models problem, okay? So cloud-only security operate after traffic has already entered the cloud environment. So also, this centralized cloud defense create a bottleneck for those latency-sensitive application. Also, there's another problem is, right now I think many countries has very strict law. This is called a data residency law. So basically, the data generated in the region or in the country must stay in the country. You cannot transfer the data outside of the country. For example, I mean, cloud computing usually hosted in those powerful data center located in US or other country, right? So basically, you are not allowed to transfer those sensitive data, Georgian people data, to US East 1 data center to do processing. So this is called data residency law. If we use traditional cloud security, we cannot enforce this policy. We cannot enforce this security compliance. We cannot do that. But we can use edge-first security easily to enforce this compliance. Now, let's look at the new model. This is the new model. It's called edge-first security. So in this model, edge enforcement starts at the edge location before traffic reach the cloud. So the idea of this model is try to detect threats early and then minimize or neutralize threats before the traffic enters the cloud. This is the idea. Also, as I just mentioned, if you use edge computing to enforce that data residency law, it's very easy to implement, right? Different countries have a different data residency law. You can easily use edge server to enforce security compliance. So this is an example to show you the benefits of using edge-first security. So block threats early, reduce latency, fast response. Also minimize attack surface. Also easily enforce strict local data residency regulations. So this is a product we implemented, okay, recently. So in this product, we try to use two models. One is edge-first security model. Another is a traditional cloud-only security model. So on this side, on this left side, you can see we used AWS CloudFront. CloudFront is AWS edge services. So and we integrate WAF is a web application firewall with CloudFront. In this firewall, we set up rules, configure rules to filter out SQL injection request, okay? And then on the right-hand side, we do the same thing, but this time we use cloud-only security model. So basically, we don't do any processing security check at the edge location. Do everything inside the cloud. And then we have experimental results. The results show the edge-first security model block malicious requests about 60% faster than that cloud-only security model. Also, this edge-first security model save network bandwidth, right? Because malicious requests already dropped before entering cloud, right? We will save cloud resources. This is what we have done. In the future, we will implement something like facial recognition. We are going to use machine learning inference model at the edge server side, okay? So basically make edge server, it's called a smart edge, smart secure edge. So basically we run machine learning module to do, camera, right? Camera, send that facial raw data to the edge server, edge server will run the model to do facial recognition, okay? Because this is a people's face data is sensitive data. You cannot transfer to the cloud, right? Transfer the data to cloud to do the processing. So edge location will be ideal places to do that. We will use this use case to show edge first security model can easily enforce data redundancy laws. So here's a summary. So edge first security model can block threat earlier, can minimize attack surface. So edge first security model is like a proactive strategy, right? Detect early, drop malicious requests early. This is a proactive. But the current traditional cloud-only security model is like a reactive model. So everything is like a delayed decision, right? You have to, the malicious traffic must enter the cloud. It's kind of like a wait and then do detection. So usually called delayed detection. So this is the summary.
Heavy applauses.
Thank you. Thank you,
Wait,
Inga.
thank you very much. I think we've heard amazing findings, and I wish you best of luck on working on this new product. And I think it's going to be very important for cybersecurity students or who are actually interested in the cybersecurity field. So this brings us to the end of this session, and our last speaker is Joni Choniadze, who is actually going to graduate from our cybersecurity master's program just in a couple of days. The floor is yours.
Hi again. Hello, everyone. So, as a data protection expert, you are scaring me with your ideas, so I'm going to go briefly as a list presenter. So, I'm going to talk the meaning of data protection in cybersecurity, and firstly, we should define what is cybersecurity and what is data protection. Cybersecurity is, as you know, mostly about safeguarding systems, its integrity, confidentiality, and availability, and data protection is about the safeguarding personal data and the human rights itself, of course. So the security is a core component of data protection law itself, and it's strictly regulated. In Georgia and in many countries, of course, we have data protection authorities. In Georgia, we have a PDPS, Personal Data Protection Service of Georgia, and if they would set the violation, they can, it might be significant financial penalties for non-compliance to the law, and the PDPS, as well as they can issue legal obligation, and it means that PDPS can request to stop processing the data. Legal mandates or for proactive protection and key questions. The new law of Georgia on data protection, and as well as the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of European Union, sets the several obligations to the data controllers, and I will just focus the new obligations for Georgia. It's a privacy by default and privacy by design, and it means that the developers or specialists who are developing the systems, they should set the proper controls in electronic systems. Data protection impact assessment. Almost every electronic system, a new idea, should go under the data protection impact assessment. It's like a risk assessment, but regarding the human rights. So the main question is, how are those obligations implemented? What do they mean for cybersecurity specialists, and how important are they for our work? So if we do not comply with the law, it means the financial risk, and it means the stop the data processing. Breaches, you talked on the session about the breaches and about the incidents, but no one mentioned that there is more responsibility as well, and one more obligation. If the incident refers to the personal data, the controllers are obliged to inform the Data Protection Service of Georgia. This is as well a new obligation, and it means that during the incident, you should notify several authorities. If you are critical infrastructure subject, you should notify a authority as well as Personal Data Protection Service of Georgia. Yeah, as I told already, it's a legal obligation. It's not an option. Many security frameworks still overlook this dimension, asking about threat likelihood, but not what kind of personal data is exposed, who is affected, and what are long-term harms for physical persons. So modern cybersecurity must integrate data sensitivity, retention periods, purpose of limitation into threat modeling and architecture. My recent master thesis was about the right to be forgotten, and it looks quite good, but it's very hard to implement. It's very hard to implement because of machine learning, cloud systems, because data are multiplying. So right to be forgotten allows individuals, and this is the right of a human, to request the deletion of their personal data. But if in cases if it is not necessary no longer, it's not accurate or lawful to retain. So if we do implement right to be forgotten into the systems as a control, it reduces attack surface by ensuring systems do not store unnecessary data and protects against insider threats and data measure as well, and minimize liability in breaches. If data is not exist, it cannot be leaked. We all know the security controls, but it's obligations. The slide is about obligations. There are legal obligations, technical and organizational obligations. So legal obligations means that there should be in the systems and network privacy by design, and there must be a privacy by default. Data minimization standard is very important. It might be request some the tools and actions like tokenization or anonymization of the data, lawful basis for processing, timely breach notification to the DPA, Data Protection Authority. It requires, the data protection law requires, it's regulated international data transfers, and if we do use the outsourcers, or we are itself outsourcer, we should agree on data processing to the controller, and those are the obligations. Technical obligations is, it might be automated data retention and deletion workflows, secure audit, logging, pseudonymization, and access control tied to purpose and role. And organizational obligations, of course, you are well known with it. It's soft training, vendor management, readiness to respond to the data subjects requests. And this, the last one, data subjects requests, is as well is the right to the human and its obligation for the data controller. So, functional capacity at a critical disconnect and solution. Cybersecurity professionals are expected the secure system without a clear understanding of what data is being processed and why it's retained. What legal justification apply to this data. The result is that disconnected increases the risk of unlawful processing or retention and non-compliance to the law. And the solution is that security teams, there must be a security teams who understand the data protection and the privacy experts who understand infrastructure and threat models. I'm trying to be this last one. Actions is to include mapping personal data flows, designing the secure structure, have in mind the confidentiality and privacy. Strategic, so the shadow data identification and governance is crucial, as well as DPIAs and privacy respecting logins. I won't stop on this slide too much. What is the future of digital security regarding to human rights? Essential integration of the personal data protection and cybersecurity is no longer optional, as I mentioned, it's an essential. And cybersecurity specialists must embrace a broader role, one that incorporates legal awareness, ethical responsibility, and proactive privacy engineering as well. And the ultimate goal is to protecting systems. It's not about just the protecting infrastructure, it's about defending human rights, dignity, and trust to these systems as well. So this was the end of my presentation. Thank you.